So here's an overview on how to turn on Waves SoundGrid and make sure it's integrated and ready to go with the dLive. So our dLive is already turned on, as you can see over here, as well as our PA is turned on. There's a switch down here for the Waves server, so we'll flip that switch on. The server will come on. We'll come over to this computer over here, and there's a few things that we need to do to make sure it's ready to go. So one of the first things once I have the Waves server turned on is I will make sure that the Allen & Heath MIDI control, which allows the dLive to talk to the Mac Mini and have MIDI control, is to go to Show Preferences here on this little icon up here, which is basically a replication of this Allen & Heath MIDI control over here, which is already running in the background. It should load automatically with the computer being turned on. I'll go to Show Preferences, and I will make sure that it is indeed connected here, as you can see. So we're good to go, and we have MIDI pass through going between the console and the Mac Mini. And now we'll open up SoundGrid. Alrighty, and the first thing to do is make sure that we're seeing that all of our icons here are turning green, indicating that everything is passing as it should. And what we're going to do is we're going to first load up a template. So we're going to click Open Template. We're going to go ahead and not save our current session, and I'm going to load RCC 1.5, which is our most current version. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set our presets for our vocals. So instead of doing this on the dLive like you would before, we're doing it on SuperRack instead. So we'll go up here to our first one, and we'll click on Vox 1. We'll hit the drop down and choose Import Preset from File to Selected Rack. And we'll choose the appropriate one. In this case, for this example, we're going to use Justin. And then we're going to make sure that we recall all parts of the preset and press OK. And you'll see Justin's is loaded up on here. And we'll just repeat this process for the remaining vocalists. So then how do you get MIDI control from the dLive to change things on SuperRack? So on the dLive over here, you will see that there are scene numbers starting with number 1, and they go all the way down to whatever number there is. Well, in this example, song 1 is at scene 9. The interesting thing is SuperRack is set up with 0 as the first scene, and so what we'll need to do first is we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose the key of our song. In this example, we're going to use the key of C, and we're going to set our tempo, and so we'll click up here and we'll just type in 120. And then what I'll do is I will save that as a snapshot. So I will say Store New Snapshot, and I will type that one in as, let's say, Glorious Stay. And I prefer to put the key as well as the tempo just so that I have reference to that later on. Cool. Once that's set up, then I'll go over here to Show and click on Snapshots. And so what you'll see here is these are all the snapshots that we'll save for each song. So we'd repeat this for each individual song that we're doing for that worship set. That way we already have the key set and we already have the tempo set for each one of those songs. And then over here you'll see what it is recalling. So in this case it's recalling the BPM, a few different plugins, and it's only doing it from certain racks. So this corresponds to the vocals as well as a few things with drums at the moment that would be recalled based off of that scene. So as I said before, this starts at an offset of 0 and the dLive starts at 1, so there will be an offset of 1 number when it comes to our MIDI control. So we know that dLive song 1 is at number 9, so we're going to go ahead and pick number 8 on this to offset correctly. And then I'm going to really quickly create one more scene on the dLive a little bit lower down in song spot number 15. And in this example, we're going to set song 1, which is this other one here, to an example. In that case, it would be number 14 for those two scenes. As you can see here, we've got scene 15, which is number 14 on SuperRack, and scene 9, which is scene 8 on SuperRack. So now that that's good to go, we should be able to come over here to the dLive, and if we were to pick scene 15 and we hit go, you will see that the MIDI icon right up here just activated, and then the snapshot just changed as well. So that's how you know that your scenes are firing correctly. And so then as you would go along on the dLive creating your scenes for each part of the song or each song specifically, you would just have to stop and add the appropriate ID number for MIDI for the scene on this part of the account, part of the SuperRack file. And then lastly, I just encourage you to hit save session, and we'll just type in the case of what the date of this session is and press save. And that's an overview on SuperRack. Couple things I forgot to mention in regards to how this functions. So on the dLive here, we'll see that we just are using the gates and everything else is turned off after that. And so the insert point here is actually taking it from the dLive out into SuperRack and then coming back in. And that's how we have audio coming through our system. So we'll set gain as you normally would on the console and gates as needed for any kind of the vocal adjustments that need to happen. In the event that this server was to crash and you have an issue with losing audio, we have this nice bypass button right up here, which allows you to, at the press of a button, re-engage everything that goes onto the console. So that way you're allowed to still have audio passing in the event that the Waves server was to fail. But it's just simply a button press, and it enables or disables Waves as needed. The only downside to this is some of the effects that are for vocals and snare top go to SuperRack, so you would lose those during the audio dropout, but you should be able to at least finish a mix in the event that something was to happen. But that's just a quick kill switch. In the event that something happens, you can just push that button once and everything is enabled back on the desk and back off again, and it's back in the Waves server. So here's a brief show overview on how to shut down once you've completed a show. So we'll go up here to Soundgrid, we'll go ahead and quit. And then we'll go over here to the server, and you'll see that it's flashing red, indicating that we don't have a connection anymore. And we'll just go ahead and power off our unit. And then we'll continue to power down the dLive as you normally would. If you have questions about that, the instructions are here just in case. But that's an overview on how to turn on, set scenes, and turn off the Wave server with the new integration that we have.